We need to work on the configuration of the side seam at the front. First, I pre-calculate it and write the values under front sides 1. Let us begin. Bust front measurement: 56 centimeters on the client and 49 centimeters on the pattern. 56 centimeters minus 49 centimeters equals -7 centimeters. I divide it in half because there are 2 side seams. Now it's obvious that I need to shift the side seam 3.5 centimeters outwards at this level. Under bust front measurement: 47 centimeters on the client and 40 centimeters on the pattern. 47 centimeters minus 40 centimeters equals -7 centimeters. I divide it in half because there are 2 side seams. Now it's obvious that I need to shift the side seam 3.5 centimeters outwards at this level. I got the same value for the bust line and the under bust line. It is then logical to assume that the entire side seam of the dress should be shifted 3.5 centimeters outwards. I fill in the entire column with that value. I will most likely need to apply some changes when I start calculating the back, which is why I referred to it as pre-calculations at the start. The second thing you need to pay attention to are the clip measurements. Towards the arm's eye, 13 centimeters on the client and 12 centimeters on the pattern. 13 centimeters minus 12 centimeters equals 1 centimeter. I need to add another centimeter. Towards the corner, 12 centimeters on the client and 12.5 centimeters on the pattern. I won't account for this small difference for now. I write a 0 in the table. I will decide on the best way to shape the corner of the corset when I start drawing the neckline. Towards the neckline, 10 centimeters on the client and 7 centimeters on the pattern. 10 centimeters minus 7 centimeters equals 3 centimeters. I need to make the clip towards the neckline 3 centimeters longer. Actually, the neckline on the pattern goes below the bust line. I don't think it's a good idea to make such a low neckline on a dress for a middle-aged woman. It is better to stop above the bust line. Side length. My client's measurement is 18 centimeters and it is 19.5 centimeters on the pattern. 18 centimeters minus 19.5 centimeters equals -1.5 centimeters. I need to adjust it down by 1.5 centimeters. The fourth column will contain the final values for adjusting the side seam. I leave it empty for now. Let's move to the back of the dress. First, I will pre-calculate the configuration of the side seam and write the values under back sides 1, column 5. Let us start calculating. You will see what happens after I take into account all measurements and values from the table. The bust front and the under bust front measurements are not involved in these calculations. I write dashes in the table. Bust circumference: 99 centimeters on the client and 93 centimeters on the pattern. I have, however, already added 3.5 centimeters from each side of the pattern, which makes a total of 7 centimeters. 93 centimeters plus 7 centimeters equals 100 centimeters. 99 centimeters minus 100 centimeters equals -1 centimeter. I divide it in half. I need to adjust the back down by 0.5 centimeters from each side at the level of the bust line. I write -0.5 centimeters in the table. Under bust circumference: 87 centimeters on the client and 80 centimeters on the pattern. I have, however, already added 3.5 centimeters from each side of the pattern, which makes a total of 7 centimeters. 80 centimeters plus 7 centimeters equals 87 centimeters. 87 centimeters minus 87 centimeters equals 0 centimeters. It means there are no alterations along the under-bust line at the back. I write a 0 in the table. Waist circumference: 87 centimeters on the client and 75 centimeters on the pattern. But I have already added 3.5 centimeters from each side of the pattern, which makes a total of 7 centimeters. 75 centimeters plus 7 centimeters equals 82 centimeters. 87 centimeters minus 82 centimeters equals 5 centimeters. I divide it in half. I need to make the back 2.5 centimeters wider from each side at the waistline level. I write 2.5 centimeters in the table. Stomach circumference: 99 centimeters on the client and 91 centimeters on the pattern. I have already added 3.5 centimeters from each side of the pattern, which makes a total of 7 centimeters. 91 centimeters plus 7 centimeters equals 98 centimeters. 99 centimeters minus 98 centimeters equals 1 centimeter. I divide it in half. I need to expand the back by 0.5 centimeters from each side at the level of the stomach. I write 0.5 in the table. Hip circumference: 105 centimeters on the client and 101 centimeters on the pattern. I have, however, already added 3.5 centimeters from each side of the pattern, which makes a total of 7 centimeters. 101 centimeters plus 7 centimeters equals 108 centimeters. 105 centimeters minus 108 centimeters equals -3 centimeters. I divide it in half. I need to adjust the back down by 1.5 centimeters from each side at the level of the hip line. I write -1.5 centimeters in the table. Bust middle and clip measurements are not involved in these calculations. You must have already noticed that, judging by the adjustment values in the table, the side seam side of the back is going to look very wavy. Let us work with the values from this column. We need to analyze the way the side seam configuration changes in the area between the bust line and the waistline. Let us look at the pattern. The value of adjustment along the bust line is -0.5 centimeters, whereas it is 0 along the under bust line. I connect these points. According to the calculations, I will need to make the pattern larger in the waist, so it makes sense to prolong the line. I move to the next column, back sides adjusted to. I leave it at -0.5 centimeters for the bust line and at 0 for the under bust line, and shift it 0.5 centimeters outwards along the waistline. Let's see what I've got. I have expanded it by 0.5 centimeters along the waistline, but it should have been 2.5 centimeters. This difference of 2 centimeters can be distributed between the princess seams of the front and the back. Don't forget that the princess seams of the front are only involved in alterations at the waistline level and below. Let's calculate it. I divide 2 centimeters between the 4 raw edges of the princess seams of the front and the back. As the result, I need to shift each of those edges 0.5 centimeters outwards at the waistline level. We will use another 2 columns, princess seam back and princess seam front, 7 and 8, and write 0.5 centimeters under waistline circumference. It is logical to assume that I may as well shift the adjusted side seam of the back 0.5 centimeters outwards in the stomach and in the hips to achieve a smoother line. But according to the preliminary calculations of the side seam of the back, I need to remove 1.5 centimeters in the hips, and now I want to add another 0.5 centimeters. It means I will need to use the princess seams to remove 2 centimeters. I shift each raw edge 0.5 centimeters inwards. In other words, I shift the princess seams 0.5 centimeters outwards along the waistline and 0.5 centimeters inwards along the hip line. But it makes the princess seams perfectly straight, with no account for the shape of the buttocks. In other words, we will make a nice slim fit in the waistline and leave a plain, straight line in the buttocks area. It doesn't feel right to me, even though my mom's figure is close to this picture. Her buttocks are not so prominent, but I still don't want to make those seams absolutely straight. Let's try to look in a totally different direction. Could there be a good way of altering the side seam while preserving both the dart at the back and the curvature of the side seam, though maybe somewhat eased down? It would look a lot more logical. As a last resort, I could remove any extra centimeters in the side seams during a fitting. I return to the alterations of the side seam of the front. Let us fill in the column that we skipped. Side seam front adjusted to 4. I leave all calculations from the top to the waistline unchanged. But I will try to reduce the curvature of the side seam in the area between the waistline and the bottom edge. Instead of shifting it outwards by 3.5 centimeters in the waist, I will shift it outwards by 4 centimeters. In this case, there will be a gradual 0.5 centimeter change from the under bust line to the waistline, from 3.5 centimeters to 4 centimeters. The adjusted side seam of the front has the same kind of transition from the under bust line to the waistline with a 0.5 centimeter change, from 0 to 0.5 centimeters. Therefore, the side seam has the same configuration at the back and at the front. In this case, however, I need to recalculate the values for adjusting the princess seams. Waist circumference: 87 centimeters on the client and 75 centimeters on the pattern. I have already shifted the side seam 4 centimeters outwards from each side of the front half of the dress, a total of 8 centimeters, and by 0.5 centimeters from each side of the back half of the dress, a total of 1 centimeter at the level of the waistline. 75 centimeters plus 8 centimeters plus 1 centimeter equals 84 centimeters. 87 centimeters minus 84 centimeters equals 3 centimeters. I distribute 3 centimeters between the 8 raw edges of the princess seams at the front and back of the dress. As the result, I need to shift each of them outwards by about 0.4 centimeters. I write 0.4 centimeters into the table. I leave the value for adjusting the side seam configuration of the front at 3.5 centimeters in the stomach. It means there will be a gradual change from 4 centimeters to 3.5 centimeters between the waistline and the stomach line, i.e., the side seam will gradually go from 0.5 centimeters inwards. The adjusted side seam of the back should have the same configuration and the same incline. If you shift the side seam of the back 0.5 centimeters outwards in the waist, then you should leave the adjustment value at 0 in the stomach. I write 0 in the table. Let us recalculate the adjustment values of the princess seams. Stomach circumference: 99 centimeters on the client and 91 centimeters on the pattern. I have already added 3.5 centimeters from each side of the front half of the garment, a total of 7 centimeters. And I am not supposed to change anything in the side seam of the back half of it. 91 centimeters plus 7 centimeters plus 0 centimeters equals 98 centimeters. 99 centimeters minus 98 centimeters equals 1 centimeter. I distribute this 1 centimeter between the 8 raw edges of the princess seams of the front and the back. As a result, I need to shift each of them outwards by about 0.1 centimeter. I write 0.1 centimeter in the table. Let us move to the hip line. In order to preserve the contour of the side seam of the front and achieve a smooth transition from the stomach line to the hip line, I will shift it 3 centimeters outwards in the hips. And I will shift the side seam of the back 0.5 centimeters inwards at the same level to maintain the same configuration. Let us recalculate the values for adjusting the princess seams. Hip circumference: 105 centimeters on the client and 101 centimeters on the pattern. I have already added 3 centimeters from each side of the front of the garment, a total of 6 centimeters, and removed 0.5 centimeters from each side of its back half, a total of 1 centimeter. 101 centimeters plus 6 centimeters minus 1 centimeter equals 106 centimeters. 105 centimeters minus 106 centimeters equals -1 centimeter. I distribute this 1 centimeter between the 4 raw edges of the princess seams at the back of the dress. As the result, I need to shift each edge of the princess seam 0.1 centimeter inwards. I write -0.1 centimeter in the table. I mark that the side length has been reduced by 1.5 centimeters in the columns for the adjusted side seams of the front and the back. 2 centimeters added to the hip circumference is not so a crucial difference, and there is really no need in accounting for it in the princess seams. If you prefer to have a slimmer fit in the hips, though, you can shift each raw edge of the princess seam 1 millimeter inwards. Our calculations seem to make sense. Clearly, the side seam is not going to have as pronounced curvature as the traditional corset silhouette, but it is only natural for a garment sewn for a middle-aged woman. It is not like it will affect her figure in a negative way, and at the same time, she will feel comfortable in the garment. The garment will have a slim fit without smothering the wearer. I believe it's perfect in our particular case. We have calculated the adjustments for the base of the dress.